Hello everyone. I'm in conversation with Professor Pradeep Apte. It's a very memorable day for all of us because Sir will be talking about legacy of our institute, and in particular, Sir will focus on the library the institute has, and I'll just hand over to Sir because he'll do justice to all of us.
Hello. Gokhale Institute is a very important, prestigious national institute founded by Dr. D.R. Gadgil, who way back in 1920s had just came back. He had come back from Cambridge, and he was in fact working as a principal of Surat College. And when Servants of India Society decided to establish an economic research institute, probably there was no other candidate who would be better than Dr. D.R. Gadgil. He accepted the offer, left Surat, came to Pune, and he established this institute with his own ideas, his own experiences. Being a student of Cambridge, he had seen different facets of economic research in Cambridge. He himself was involved in researches in economic history. His MLit thesis was concerning the nature of industrial growth and development in India during British time. So when he came here, he had lots of his own ideas about the way Indian economy functions, the kind of researches or the kind of problems that need to be posed, inquired and answered. There was very little, very thin data base that were available, very little information that was available. In fact, most of the information that was available for the policymakers came from the nature of the data collection system and the records which the British government had established for its own administrative purposes. Being conversant with the kind of researches on functioning of an economy of different types in his Cambridge days, he had his own agenda in the sense that he had his own vision of research. He was a person who was very deeply interested in the actual functioning of the economy and the way such functioning could be captured and researched from various facets, in particular those aspects which are not so readily available and which need to be investigated with a greater detail and with a purpose. So he started undertaking variety of studies, and these studies are really remarkable. For example, the way in which the trade of agricultural produce is conducted. He visited several places. He means not only he, of course, his colleagues in the institute. And if you read the report on the way in which, for example, fruit market and the auctions thereof function, you will find a very graphic, detailed kind of a picturesque report of how these markets function. Similarly, in those times, the automobile industry was not really all that developed. We used to have mostly imported vehicles, but nonetheless, with these vehicles, a good part of the transport, both the transport for the movement of humans as well as for the movement of goods, had started emerging, and it was an industry that had come up as an industry that was shaping and flourishing a lot more rapidly. So he also undertook another study on that. Like this, he started inquiring about the functioning of the Indian economy in such kinds of details, with such kind of an eye to the detail and the empirical facets of the actual functioning of the economy, that those reports that Institute produced in the initial years are very remarkable in the sense that not only they paved the way for a new kind of research, and in those times there was one question that was often asked: is Indian economy really very different in its own way? Are the economic laws or the kind of economic theorization that has occurred, and it had mostly occurred in those times in West, is that appropriate? Is that suitable for describing Indian economic conditions? Or do we need something like an Indian economics per se? And as you know, the inspiration for this kind of inquiry and perspective actually came from the two luminaries of Indian freedom movement who were also in Pune and who had worked in economic related problems during British time. First, of course, is the Justice M.G. Ranade. He had delivered 4 lectures on trade in 1840s. Similarly, Gokhale, in whose memory this institution was established, was a very keen student of political economy, as it was called in those times. Where rarely in those times people used to call economic theory, they would call it political economy. And there were certain kind of people who had started writing on these matters, and in fact, all major national leaders, in the sense that those who were the leaders of freedom movement, were writing on economic issues in a very keen manner by studying on their own, by conversing with people, by looking at the problem on their own and reflecting on it. So it is Agarkar, it is Tilak, it is Gokhale, it is Ranade. All of them have written very extensively on economic conditions in India in those times. And Gadgil was one step ahead because he was able to incorporate those facets and those academic facets to such kind of economic researches. One major problem that he realized that one needs a very large kind of economy, needs to be understood in all its facets, but it is impossible to cover entire economy. So one needs something like a sample-based, large sample-based researches. This method was in fact being experimented with and had already been initiated in Indian Statistical Institute by E.C. Malonbis, another great luminary and great statistician. So Gokhale Institute was probably one more natural ally for such kind of a research in ISI, and quite appropriately, in fact, Dr. Gadgil requested V.M. Dandekar to join, who was the direct student of Malonbis, a student of ISI, and also his wife Kumudini Dandekar. And they joined, and after they joining here, the entire researches that were taking place here also got enlarged, widened, and in a way they paved the way for what was later to emerge as National Sample Survey Organization. Part of that was in ISI Calcutta, and part of it was being extended and experimented with in Pune. In fact, there was also a debate between the way in which large-scale sample surveys of the households should be conducted, and the Institute has a report called Report on Pune Schedules, which is in fact a kind of a tacit debate between the ISI approach and the Gokhale Institute approach. So, Gokhale Institute took up many studies of very pioneering type. For example, in those times, the new project that was being launched, which was on Mahanadi, and the evaluation of such multi-purpose dam project, which was very unique in those times, and it was Gokhale Institute who first took up the task of establishing the validity of that project on the basis of cost-benefit principles. It was Dr. Ambedkar who was really one of the very influential person who was promoting this kind of multi-purpose dams on several major rivers, and it was part of that study. Dr. Ambedkar also had a very keen relationship with Gokhale Institute, and it was primarily through the library of the institute. It was initially Servants of India Society Library, but later Gokhale Institute started harnessing it and expanding it on very remarkable scale, and eventually this library became one of the best and unique depository of several kinds of research works, several kinds of documents, several kinds of important historical records and books, and in all areas of social sciences. When people come here, they mostly come here now to look for the books which deal with economic problems, economics as a discipline, and library is evidently very, very rich in those dimensions. But it is most important to recognize that Gokhale Institute Library is not only economics. In fact, nearly 25% of this library, in fact, we have got 4 4-storied building here. Ground floors, the first floor, second floor are entirely devoted to economics related and also partly the journals that are maintained in the Gokhale Institute, of all international journals that you get here. But the 4th floor, the top floor of the library, And now the bottom floor of the library is characterized by a very unique collection, and this collection pertains to all so-called non-economic researches. By non-economic means all social sciences or the facets of the working and functioning of the society, may it be sociology, may it be history, may it be languages, may it be linguistics, may it be religion, may it be the ancient histories, may it be different kinds of cultural aspects, wars, military strategy studies. All of these are the aspects which are very richly stored in the very important selected books in the Gokhale Institute Library. So much so that many people from abroad, from Asia, from Europe, from US come here primarily to get access to such kinds of records, such kinds of books, which are relatively very, very rare. And it is important to understand that this selection of these books was made by Gokhale Institute faculty. And this faculty, by its very own inclination, understanding and approach, was in fact what is now fashionably called multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. Consequence is, you get the choicest of the books in every discipline that I just mentioned. Let me give you, for example, one of my very senior researcher, a great historian, G.B. Mendele, was searching for the secret documents in the Second World War time as released by the British government. These were published in Britain, and the only place in India where these are available is in fact Gokhale Institute Library, now called D.R. Gadgil Memorial Library. But it is this library which has this, which even parliamentary library doesn't have it, which our own defense libraries don't have, but Gokhale Institute has it. So name the area and you look for a best possible reference in this so-called non-economic fields, you will get it in Gokhale Institute. Many old books, many old records, many old administrative records, including, as many of you might be familiar, Professor Gokhale, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, was a great parliamentarian. He is well known for his speeches on budget, his speeches on education policy, so much so that the otherwise extremely anti-Indian and very stern kind of a Governor General Sayed Curzon used to praise Gokhale for his scholarly remarks that were discussed in the council. And as a result, Gokhale Institute happens to be probably one library which has got all parliamentary records of all major states, whether it be the Legislative Council, whether it be Legislative Assembly, or the members of or the parliaments, that is Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha. All these records are available in Gokhale Institute alone. Election Commission records were in fact scarcely available elsewhere except for the Gokhale Library. And of course, I can go on and on. I have myself used and enjoyed these treasures of this library for so long. But there are some remarkable books. For example, when I tell many of my students economic products of India. Now this was in fact a compilation made under the very able leadership of Watts. It is the Watts book, 6 volumes, every volume of almost 1000 pages. Economic products of India are available now only in Gokhale Institute. So similarly, if you are looking for the administrative terminology employed in different provinces, and the British government had a great difficulty in doing this, so they did a job of entrusted this job to one Mr. Wilson, who compiled all administration related terminologies in different languages, and there is a dictionary which is published which puts all these administrative terms in not only those many languages but also in the very same script in which those words are uttered. So if you want to look at economic history, which is the best place to look for the references? Gokhale Institute Library, that is D.R. Gadgil Library now. I remember it was the great Fuqaz Hawa, who was one of the great scholars of the medieval Maratha history. He used to come and visit here and in fact stay here, just like he used to visit and stay in Bhandarkar Institute. When I was doing my MPhil, I remember there was another Japanese student, kind of maintaining a legacy of Fukazawa, who used to in fact consult the same library for the same kinds of areas of interest. So there are many scholars who visit Gokhale Institute's library primarily to locate such references which are rare, which are important, which are extremely selective, and look at the far-sightedness of the Gokhale Institute research faculty, that they had a keen eye for which kind of a book should be there in this library. So it's one of the great important library. There are many libraries which hold journals, past journals, but Gokhale Institute's specialty is that it has a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary library at least up to 1980s. After that, what happened was, in Pune itself, there was a university. There have been specialized kind of institutions like Deccan College. As a result, buying the books from these disciplines became a little more constraining for Gokhale Institute. A, for the space, B, for the funds. But yet you will find that even in terms of remaining updated in diverse fields, not only confined to economics. Of course, in case of economics, it's one of the excellent libraries in India, also probably in Asia. We get all those kinds of great updated references, books enlisted here. But if you are looking for such kinds of matters which are related to economics but not economic per se, because Gokhale Institute as an institution was always inclined to do researches in economic history. It was also keenly interested in sociological aspects of the functioning of any economy. In fact, Gokhale Institute had sociology professorship. Gokhale Institute had, in fact, a small unit working on economic history. And Gokhale Institute also had people working in different related areas which are not necessarily concerned with economics immediately, but may it be philosophy, may it be ideology, may it be religious studies. In all these matters, it was Gokhale Institute which was the leading institution for the purposes of study and for the purposes of building up the library resources needed for this. In fact, if one looks at what is really meant by this kind of a interdisciplinary research, you may look at the one small thin book published, which is a product of what Gokhale Institute used to in fact conducted in the early 50s, what was called debt investment survey. And Professor Dandekar and Professor M.B. Jagtap, who used to move around the villages, collect data, but when they were collecting data on debt and investment survey related matters, they were also observing the kind of social life these villages or the taluka places had, the kind of people, the kind of professions in which they were engaged, what kind of customs they have had. They used to record this. It was not a part of the official report prepared for the Reserve Bank of India, but they made the notes of it. And in fact, one such kind of, though cryptic looking notes that were maintained by Professor Dandekar and Jagtap has been published by the institute. Similarly, Gokhale Institute was also the institute which had 4 rare books, first 4 rare books which were published in Marathi on economics. And in fact, Gokhale Institute compiled them, recompiled them, edited them under the able leadership of D.K. Bedekar, and they were published as Char June Marathi Arthashastriya Granth. So, Gokhale Institute is a very rich institute in terms of this kind of a legacy of having a approach, a method in which you study not by a very narrow kind of a specialist outlook, in which of course it has been well established, has a great reputation. Gokhale Institute was the institute which started population studies. Not only it started population studies, something what we now call as demography, but it also established the first center for propagation of planning, family planning techniques. So, institute had a great sense of social responsibility, social vision and social leadership, and that is precisely what G.K. Gokhale, Damdar Gokhale was trying to give to the India. And in the academic field as well as in the policy making area, it is this legacy which Gokhale Institute had carried forward. It diversified into many such areas which were initially not a part of it. For example, input-output analysis, which became one of the major areas in the planning era, and Gokhale Institute was one of the pioneer institutions in compiling input-output tables for India. So I can go on and on. For example, establishing Eastern European Studies Center to study whatever that was happening to the then so-called socialist economy. So if you want to have a glimpse of what really happened of world history, what is the best place? And I would even now say that the best place is Gokhale Institute, D.R. Gadgil Memorial Library.